So let's just start with a list that we call X, which starts with a 0, or you could just use 100 or whatever as your starting price. That's your starting price, right? And then let's just say we want 500 time steps. So we just run a loop, range 500. Yeah. Okay. And now turns to the previous return, right? So we go x dot append, and then we go just random np dot random dot rand n, right? So we're just appending our first return is 0, right? And then we're appending random numbers to that. Now, what's interesting here is, and I talked about autocorrelation, yeah? What we're basically saying now is, well, the new return, in fact, depends on the previous, or is also depends on the previous return, right? So what we could do is we could say plus, yeah? And you know, when we use this append, we haven't actually appended this yet. So what we can say is we say x of -1. So that's our previous return, right? So in this case, it's 0, but let's just say we change it to 0.02. So we add a part of that previous return, yeah? But we don't want to add the full previous return. We just add a small fraction of it. Let's just say 0.3 times this, yeah? So now what that means is we've got a random return plus a part of the previous return. And what that tells us is, oh, it goes in the same direction as our previous return. Okay? So if we run this, we've got, you know, our x 500 returns. Okay? Now, what we can do is, of course, we can plot it, plt.plot, np.cumulative sum of x. And so let's just check this out. What's happening? So now we basically produce the returns and the cumulative sum. So we can see, okay, you know, it's just a chart here. It's nothing really so special about this. Yeah. Let's just see if we increase this number to, like, say 0.9, which is basically meaning we're almost adding another, you know, value. And you can see the curve actually looks a lot smoother. It's interesting, right? Let's just plot the returns versus the returns from the previous day, okay? So what we can do is this plt.plot. And now what we're doing is we're plotting today's returns, but only the ones of the one before last. And then we plot the returns from the next day all the way to the end. Does that make sense? So we're basically plotting a return series, yeah? And then we plot it against the other return series of the next day. So we shift it, we call this a lag. We shift it by a lag of 1. Let's see what we can see. There you go. See, there's a very strong correlation between today's returns and tomorrow's. So, or let's just call it today's returns on the y-axis and yesterday returns on the x-axis. There's a correlation here, right? That's what we call autocorrelation. It's basically correlation between the returns of today and yesterday. Yeah. So if we make this 0 and we plot this, we just basically get a totally random curve. And if we plot the correlation, it's just a blob. Nothing to see here. Now, what happens if we do it negative? Say minus 0.7. What do you think is going to happen when we make this negative? So it's a negative autocorrelation.
Yeah, I mean, like there's two things. Like one, it either goes in the other direction, So instead of going upwards, it goes downwards, kind of, or it goes further out. So like
Well,
there's less
actually,
correlation.
it's interesting to think about this, right? Because it's not obvious. It's not actually intuitive. And you will see now in a second. Look at this. How cool is it? What you actually see is the curve wiggles a lot more, right? See, it just fluctuates a lot more. And when we basically run this autocorrelation, you see now it's a negative
Yeah.
correlation, right? It's got a negative slope. So what we're actually saying is, if your autocorrelation is positive, yeah, if this coefficient here is positive, we get curves that are trending. But the thing is, they could trend up or trend down. Yeah. When it's negative, so trending is positive. When it's negative, we get something that is what we call mean reverting. It basically always tries to come back. You know, when the return of yesterday was positive, it wants more of a negative return the next day. Yeah. And so these are really, there's really three types of time series that we can observe when we look at prices. It's a trend, mean reversion, and random. Random is when this coefficient here is effectively 0, 0.0, right? We run it, it just goes, it does whatever it does. It could be random. And we can rerun this again and again. But the interesting thing is, when we look at those series sort of from further away, we can't really tell, right? It's actually very difficult to tell. It's only when we do the analytics on it that we can see, oh, the series is perhaps mean reverting, or it's trending or something. And these are effects that we can then exploit in our trading. And so when we did the simple moving average strategy before, that's exactly what we exploited, is the fact that some time series, some price series are actually either mean reverting or trending. Yeah. So let's just go back to trending again. So we do this plus, and let's just go 0.5. And you can see when we get the trend, see how the curve is much, much smoother? It just keeps going in one direction, and then it turns around and it keeps strongly going in another direction, and so on. This is, so a trend isn't really always straight up. Like this is a crazy strong trend, right? In most cases, it's still wiggles around, but it's much smoother. Now here, there's two things to observe, which are really interesting. When you look at the shorter time scales, what you will actually find is, so let's say you do a day-by-day autocorrelation, and we do this next time. We do this analysis next time a bit deeper. So when you do a day-by-day autocorrelation, you will find that it's actually mean reverting. So day by day, this curve here, we would see it's mean reverting. But if you did a month-on-month or a year-on-year analysis of this, of the autocorrelation, you will find that it's actually strongly trending. So this is a really fascinating subject. And depending on what time resolution you use for your trading, you may have to employ completely the opposite strategies. So here we go. Deep dive into the dynamics of this sort of stuff. And I think it's really fascinating, because this is really the basis of a lot of what you do in trading. A lot of the strategies, especially quantitative strategies, are based on these ideas. And if they are not, they still do contain fragments of these ideas to some extent that we need to understand. All right, so I think there's a lot to take in. Sorry, I
the
didn't.
day by day correlation and the you said like for example with the month to month and year to year, could you say
Yeah.
that when on a day to day you're too close to the picture so you cannot really see it, but when you're further looking away from a month, like a year or something, then you can actually see like the trend or
It's a really good question. And this is probably what you would think at first. But in fact, it's not like that. That's a fascinating thing. In reality, you really, in the short term, you get truly mean reverting behavior, whereas in the long term, you get truly trending behavior. And in the middle somewhere, you get quite random behavior. So it's not, in fact, interestingly, that you just because you have a myopic view, you can't see the trend. No, it's actually really mean reverting when you analyze it. Whereas if you zoom out, it's actually trending.
hmm.
And what's interesting is there's not necessarily a contradiction in that. It's just that it changes behavior as you zoom out further. And so when you trade a specific strategy and you go, oh, maybe if I just go and zoom in more, I can make my strategy better. That's actually a misunderstanding. That's actually not really going to work.
Mhm.
So if you have, say, a trending strategy on the S&P 500, and you think maybe I should just zoom into the second by second microstructure, and then I can make it much, much better. Actually, no, you can't. You have to trade it in this larger time scale. Otherwise, it won't really work. And that's very, very counterintuitive. It's not really what you would think. It's not obvious, but you can see, like, this autocorrelation is why that's happening. What we do next time is we're actually taking the S&P 500 and we analyze it a little bit more for this autocorrelation and see what we can find. It's a very fascinating subject, and it's a real basis for quantitative trading to understand these kind of things.